Scott. Their last, but I think he had mentioned something else. Not being here for this one, I recall. And actually less than a little. All right, 6 o'clock. Shall we start? Yeah. All right. All right, we'll go ahead and call a meeting to order. This is the Planning Commission meeting for July 1st, 2025. We'll have an invocation or thought by myself, Commissioner King, and then the Pledge of Allegiance will be offered by Commissioner Garner, since Commissioner Shea is not currently here. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this wonderful day that we've been blessed with to be able to come and meet as a commission, to be able to plan accordingly to the needs of our city. We very much appreciate our wonderful city and the things that we are able to move forward for it. We ask a blessing upon us that we'll be able to have the right minds to be able to make the right decisions that are best for the city. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Would the audience please rise and repeat after me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will now move on to the adoption of the meeting agenda, which has been posted in accordance with state law. Take a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Speak into the microphone.
Sorry. We have a motion to adopt the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And we will move on to the meeting minutes for the meeting of June 17th, 2025. If there are no updates or questions about the meeting minutes, I'll take a motion to adopt the minutes.
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The meetings have been adopted. We will move on to the oath of office ceremony portion of our meeting.
So, you can stand and then after you do the oath, you'll sign the book. If you can stand up, you can raise your right hand.
Pull together.
After you, your individual name. So I do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support,
That
I will support,
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of Utah,
and
and the Constitution of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of the office of Planning Commissioner with fidelity.
of the office of Planning Commissioner with fidelity.
All right, thank you. If you can sign those before me, and then, all right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to the leadership election portion of meeting. As we are aware, we're also not only into a new commission, but our previous chair and vice chair are no longer on the commission. So we need to nominate and vote for a chairperson and vice chair. So Royce, Noah, is there something specific that we need to follow with this?
No, you guys just work it out amongst yourselves. Decide you can nominate yourself or somebody else if you don't like them.
Weird, it's just this.
I'm kind of the most senior person here. I've been doing this for a few years. I got no problems if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll make a motion then that we have James King as the chair of the Planning Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
It's a begrudging aye, but any opposed to that?
Just for the record. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Royce. All right, and can I do that? Can I make a motion for the other?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay. Then I will make a motion that Commissioner Garner be nominated as vice chair.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. I think. All right. With that, we will move on to the public comment section of our meeting. This is an opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission regarding items that are not scheduled for public hearing on this agenda. We'd ask that you consider others and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you have any comments about any public hearing, keep those until the public hearing of those. Do we have anybody online?
we have people, but no one has reached out to those online. If you'd like to speak, send us a chat in there and to let us know. Or raise your hand. There's a hand raise option for those online. But also when we will be holding additional public hearings for the projects that are, or for the items that are scheduled for public hearing on the agenda.
Did you have a comment? Please come up to the podium. Again, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
I'm here about the what I will call the commercial creep on 1700 or Antelope. I'm concerned we have very few homes that back up to Eagle, the golf course, and would like to see it stay with as many residential homes as possible. I've been in the retail business for many, many years, and one of my concerns is that I have been told that possibly you're considering a strip center along there with Costco and the traffic it brings, and the 4 plots that you have slated for fast food or something along that line. And then you have the reception center. I assume that's what's being built to the golf course. That is a lot of traffic. Plus, backing up to a golf course, when you look at the back of a shopping center, a strip mall, there's frequently abandoned parcels in that strip mall. And it just looks terrible in behind. So you're going to have garbage and you're going to have all kinds of unhealthy looking things that we'll be bringing into the very small residential area that we have left on the north side of Antelope. I'm 81 years old. I'd like to be able to stay there and enjoy Syracuse. I have one other property on Syracuse as well. So I've elected to be here. I love this community, and I know you guys have a great responsibility with all the expansion that's going on. But I would ask you to consider other options other than a strip center. Maybe it's improbable, but something like patio homes would be wonderful. Even we would accept townhomes that would go along there and would be a better presentation to see when you look at.
At least you have built business, you just have them, not
You're okay, sir.
apartment living.
You'll take care of that for us. And for the record, will you mention your name and
Oh,
where you live, what's.
that's going to give me a lot of trouble in this committee.
No, it's something it's.
My name is Tom Grimm, Grimm, and I have property over in Stillwater as well. So love the community. Hope you keep it that way. Let's kind of make that little section something special. And if anything, if the 1.58 acres that you're talking about, if you could make that at least a buffer zone, that we could not have those things right up against the houses, that would be even better. I know you have a lot of responsibilities, and I appreciate you taking your time to do this. And I thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tom.
I would like to also remind that if it is regarding the public hearing item on tonight's agenda, item number 7, we will be discussing that and opening that up to public hearing as well. And that's to anybody online as well. Thank you. I appreciate it. Has anybody reached out via chat?
Nope.
All right, we will go ahead and close the public comment section of this meeting. And we will move on to item number 6, a public hearing for a site plan request by Chad Spencer for approval for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Lake Center expansion.
Okay, so I have that one. Let me scroll down there. This one's really straightforward. The church is essentially adding an addition on the south side of the building, so no change to the site outside of some parking, but the building currently ends roughly here-ish, and then it's going to be extended about 30 feet to the south. So they're going to use all of the same materials that were used on the current facade. Let's see. So you can kind of see the existing facade that's going to be demolished. It's basically just scooting that to the south. So, yep. Sorry. Let me zoom out here too so you can see it better. All right. Yeah. So excuse me. So what is shown here in the dotted lines, this is all to be demolished. And then they were going to basically rebuild the same thing. You can see it's essentially identical. It's just going to be scooted 30 feet to the south. And pull up the floor plans. You can kind of see what's inside. Okay, so there will be some changes to the landscaping as well, but again, the building currently ends here, and they're just going to add some new rooms there on the back, and that will be the addition. So they're going to change the landscaping, and then there is currently parking here that will be removed, and they'll leave the parking on either end, but then the sidewalk will just be brought around. Everything else with the site remains the same, so this is just the site area that's affected. And the parking that is shown still more than meets our city code requirements for parking for this use. So all the city staff comments have been met and addressed, and this meets all the requirements of the city code. So we would recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. All right, this is slated for a public hearing. So again, we ask that the comments be kept to 3 minutes or less. But we will open up public hearing for this item. If you could state your name and address when you get up to the podium.
Lisa Hayes. Oh, sorry. 534 West, 2810 South. I'm just kind of representing myself and then my neighbor to the side. We both have our full property that's lining up on the back side, south side. And my neighbor's the one that asked me to come, but then he didn't come. So I'm just kind of relating some of our thoughts. There used to be Chinese elms that were kind of in that little strip behind there. They did remove those, but they were huge and messy and terrible. And he's still getting tree trunks trying to come up and things on his yard. He just wanted to suggest if you are going to put something back there, that it be something smaller. He thinks it's getting overwatered on that south side as well. And then the last thought was, yes, just on that left side behind the utility buildings. And then the last thought was, we didn't know if it's possible to put little islands or some kind of something in the parking lot to avoid the kids that drive like crazy all the time over there in circles and whatnot, whether it's summer or winter. So those were just some thoughts that we had.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maria Thorpe. I live at 2804 South, 580 West, which is just on the other side of that far fence, couple houses over. Yeah, well, anyways, I fully support the extension. I think it will be great. And I know I've talked to several of the neighbors and we're kind of all excited about it. So we're happy that seems like you're happy with it. I'm curious, this tree section, are they going to make any changes there? Because isn't there supposed to be a light that's going in on 2700? And yeah, like, isn't that going to become like a light with an intersection? And I guess I'm curious what's going to happen in here, if you know.
Do we know the answer to that?
Yeah, I know that there's been some discussion about a light, but that's not connected to this project. The light would be part of the public right of way in partnership with Layton City. So if you look, years ago, the city purchased this property and owns this property, and with this road will be expanded and there'll be a light right here. But this project is all on the church's property. So it's an administrative review. So anything that's proposed just has to meet our ordinance.
Yeah.
So like we don't have an ordinance that requires landscape islands. Yeah, I'm not seeing any of the trees or whatever that she was talking about on that south end, but what the church has applied for is for its addition. So that's the limits of our purview in this one.
Right. We have no other comments for the public hearing. We'll go ahead and close public hearing and open up to the commission for discussion.
I think it looks nice. It meets our requirements. I appreciate how they moved the sidewalk so that it matches up very nicely with what they have there. And they're doing some exterior work that matches the rest of the building. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I've seen other buildings, church buildings that have had similar extensions put on them. The church is really good about trying to keep uniform exterior materials be uniform so that it'll be as non-impactful as possible that way. If there are no other comments, then I'll take a motion.
I can make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, you guys set a time frame, like how long they have to get this done?
We've actually gone ahead and closed public hearing, but as far as the time frame is concerned, do we know that?
Excuse me. We don't have a limitation on how long they can take necessarily, but if they apply for a building permit and they don't do anything with the building permit within 6 months, it expires and they have to reapply. But if they show some sort of work during that time period, it just extends it. So I would anticipate, given the church that they built a few years ago on 3000 West, the speed of that was pretty quick. So I would imagine it's probably not going to be too drawn out.
All right, motion.
I move the planning commission approve the request of Chad Spencer for the site plan concerning a church expansion on the property located at 535 West, 2700 South, containing 3.35 acres in the A1 zone.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we will move on to item number 7, a request by Fort Street Partners for a general plan map amendment to rezone at the address listed. Noah Royce, who's got this one?
I'll do this one. Pardon the scrolling. Lots of detail. Sorry. Holy cow.
I'm doing it as well. It's quite a ways.
Okay. So here's a map of the area. Like you said, we received an application for a general plan and a rezone. It is directly west of the clubhouse for Glen Eagle Golf Course. You can see the context of it. You do have some houses to the west of it, and you have houses to the south across the street. There's a new storage unit project that came in a few years ago. And you can see that we have a new freeway and an interchange, and we're seeing some changes in the neighborhood because of that new freeway access and visibility. So we have a development right here on the corner that has a gas station, a medical building, a car wash. We did recently a site plan for a multi-tenant building. So the idea is that as this gets filled up, that'll continue west. Of course, this is where Costco's going, and they'll have out parcels. Most likely there'll be some development here. So we're seeing some growth as a city, and this is changing here. The Antelope Drive is a UDOT road, which it's state highway, so it usually indicates higher traffic numbers, and that's why we're seeing the interest in commercial. Being a state highway, the city defers a lot of the required improvements and things like that to UDOT. Taking a look at our existing zoning map, with this red, you can see is already zoned general commercial. And the property in question, there's a home and then a little field to the west of the home. And you can see where that storage unit project came in. The golf course is zoned A1. There's some residential that's part of the golf course. So the proposal would be to change those two properties to general commercial. There is about a 10 to 15 foot sliver that's actually going to need to be adjusted just along with the parcel lines. But it was kind of insignificant at this scale to even be able to pick it up. But they are working with the golf course to purchase a little bit more land so that will be able to have the proper depth.
You're talking about just a little bit further.
Yeah, see, yeah, directly to the north along the north edge here. There's about 15 feet there that doesn't follow parcel lines.
Okay.
So looking at the general plan map, this orange color is for medium density residential, and then the red is for more commercial. And then the lighter yellow is low density residential. So you can see what the two properties that they're proposing are medium density, and propose to just change that to be commercial, which would be consistent with the commercial zoning. While we're there, they already have commercial zoning on the rest of their proposed project, but to clean up the map so we don't have an island, it would make sense to just match the general plan. The zoning, if it's already commercial, it's okay. You don't have to change the general plan map per se, but for housekeeping, it'd be recommended to just make that contiguous. Yeah, that's the scoop. As far as process goes, this is a recommendation to City Council. The final decision's not made tonight. And then as far as the details of what's going to be built and how it's going to be built, that would all come in the future. The first step is to get the zoning right, and then they would come in for probably a commercial subdivision. We'd get an idea of what the property lines are and the infrastructure needs, and then they would come in with each lot, a site plan for each lot. So most likely it'll be individual commercial pads. We don't know who. They haven't provided that information. But that's your job to evaluate whether or not this is compatible with the neighborhood and in the future of the city, and make a recommendation to the city council.
Thank you.
That's the area I was talking about. Basically, for not to have them any closer to our house.
All right, this item is slated for a public hearing. So again, we will open up public hearing for this particular item.
And you notify us.
Sorry,
You notify them.
public hearing? It's right now. It's right now. We're opening up the public hearing to be able to hear from the public right now.
Hey, come up, sir. Thank you.
My name is Michael McBride. I'm the owner and manager of Glen Eagle Golf Club. And all of this property previously was in our family. In fact, between Brother Grimm's house and the commercial property you're proposing are two more residential lots. So he already has a buffer between the general commercial and his lot. And they are relatives of mine, and they did not want to be part of the commercial development, so they will remain residential. So that's an acre and a half of property between his home and the commercial that's being proposed. And as far as the golf course is concerned, we are okay with this happening. We don't believe this is going to be detrimental to the golf course. And we do agree with the city in general that Antelope Drive is prime for commercial development into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have anybody else who would like to make comment? If not, we'll go ahead and close public hearing for this item and we'll open it up to commission. We have the developer, or no, Mike just came up, but we have,
I don't see the applicant in the audience.
okay.
I can, no, I'm here online if I need to say something.
Sure. Mr. Chair, looks like we have the applicant online. His name is Rick. And if you want to hear from him, you can call on him.
Yeah. Hi, Rick. Just if there's anything that you wanted to add to
Yeah,
agenda.
I think we appreciate was it Tim or Tom's comments, and I mean it sounds like he's been in the business as well. Our goal is to build a very nice retail center for the residents of Syracuse. Spots going dark and stuff. I mean, that's the amount of national tenants that we have reaching out to us. We don't foresee there being any long-term vacancies. We want to build a very nice community there. And along with some of the comments that have been talked about with UDOT and so forth, UDOT would require us to have more or less a second entrance that would line up with, I believe that's 3400 West across the street. And so we'd have two entrances in and out, but those would be the only two spots that UDOT would allow us to come into. And so without having this commercial area or this medium density zone changed to commercial, then we wouldn't be able to have that second entrance, and UDOT wouldn't allow that to happen. So we essentially need it for that reason, and that's the only spot that UDOT would allow us to put in that second entrance is directly across from that. I guess it's 3385 West spot.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I would have a question. The proposed development, would that be basically the entire strip that leads up to the clubhouse? Is that what we're talking like? That'll eventually be the development?
That's correct. Mhm.
Cool.
So it'd be a mix of both retail and commercial. As you guys may or may not know, we're the ones that did the medical office building on 3000 West, just around the corner. We have other medical uses interested in that location around the corner in this new development that we're talking about now. So it's not just going to be a strip center. We're looking to add a lot of services to the community, both medical, retail, restaurants. I mean, it's not just going to be a strip center that one day goes dark. We hope to build a good, long-lasting development that's going to be beneficial for years and years to come for the city of Syracuse.
Right. And as you develop this, I'm sure you, with your other property already abutting up to the golf course, you take some effort to, with the aesthetics and everything, to just kind of make it look nice for those people who are using the golf course and stuff, just to maintain that feel and outlook of, what they see, and maintain, just some nice, either a border wall or whatever you do for your site plan. So, we just ask you to keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. And that's very important to us. So.
Cool. Any other questions for Rick and the commission? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Comments from the commission? Otherwise, I'll take.
I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think having a retail place that close to a golf hole will be good. I think it'll end up with a lot of golf balls hitting cars, and I think when you start paving all that area and putting all these hard surfaces, you're gonna have golf balls bouncing all the way out into Antelope. I know I golf all the time, golf with people there. I've seen people in that field all the time with golf balls, and I just know that it's gonna cause a lot of problems.
I can speak to some on that, Noah. So our long-term plan is there. Obviously, that is a concern that's always been a concern along there. We will be putting up netting along that area to make sure that no golf balls are being hit into the retail area. That would, as you said, that would be a disaster for not only the businesses there, but going on to Antelope and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, those nettings help a little bit, but they don't stop them all.
What is the orientation of the tee boxes that are adjacent to this proposed property? Are they hitting there? Doesn't look like they're hitting in that direction. So it would be errant balls, but not regular
Correct.
shots.
That's correct.
Well, I guess it just depends on if you hook or slice it.
Sure.
Or both.
But hopefully nobody's aiming directly at that lot is what I'm getting at. Like it's not the end of a hole.
No.
They're shooting that
so-
direction.
No, but they will be hitting drivers off of those tee boxes, and they do hit it over there all the time. I see it all the time when I'm golfing there.
Yeah,
And there are homes there,
that's
and those homes are subject to those same balls without netting as well. So
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I know if you build a house there and then you're taking on that risk, but if you're just a patron of a retail shop or something like that, and your car gets hit, I mean, that's just going to make people not want to go to those places. I just think it'll cause too many issues.
Mr. Chair, if you want, I can explain this. This is the number one hole tee box. And well, I think there's some other tee boxes here, but in general, you're hitting from here into the fairway right here. And there's the green. It's a par 4. So if you do hook it, yeah, that's prime time.
Yeah.
Or if you're lefty and you slice it,
Yeah.
and it's the first tee, and a lot of people don't warm up.
But like other people have said, there are other holes on the course that have a similar context, and there's backyards that back up onto. That's the risk that they take.
Right. And he already mentioned he's doing mitigating netting and stuff to help with this. So
Are there regulations as to the height of that netting or any kind of precedent from other cities that have had a similar issue? That we don't end up with a net that is there just to
Be pretty.
just to occupy and appease people, but it's really not going to be valid. Like, is there any sort of a study or something to compare that to that would make sure it was adequate height?
So the city ordinance doesn't talk about netting between golf course. We do have a buffer ordinance that requires landscaping and fencing between certain uses. I would have to review the ordinance to see what would be the appropriate buffer between the two uses. But depending on what we consider the golf course to be, it's zoned A1, but it is kind of like a business. And so a commercial business next to another commercial business doesn't necessarily require any fencing or buffing because it's the same use. But if it's considered agriculture, A1 might require like a chain link, but that doesn't mean that the applicant couldn't offer up certain mitigating efforts like netting or trees or fencing, all of the above, or siding the buildings in a way that do you want the golf ball to go through the window in the building or the window in the car? And, they can decide, they could offer up some of those things. But as the city, those are all the things that we want to take into consideration when looking at a rezone, in balance with impacts, but also benefits. Of course, the city relies on commercial development for sales tax, also property tax, and then I know a lot of residents are really hungry for additional services and restaurant options and shopping options, and so it's a balance that we have to consider what's the best for the city, and if those concerns can be mitigated through the site planning process.
I would think that if, with the netting in place and everything in place, I think that really should mitigate the problems and the concerns. I still get your
won't.
concerned.
Yeah.
But I personally, I don't think that there's a problem with this particular idea as long as those mitigations are in place.
Correct. And I want to point out the biggest rectangle that we're looking at on this map in front of you is already zoned for commercial. This piece along Antelope. All we're talking about is those two small parcels right there where
Right.
And back to the other picture, it was very clear.
If I was here when those were rezoned, I wouldn't have wanted to approve it either.
Okay.
I have one more question. Was it Rick that's the developer? Is he still available?
Yeah, I'm here.
Is there any kind of indication as to maybe the height of this development? Would that have any impact on the flight of golf balls? There's a 30-foot residential restriction, is that right, for buildings, but
We currently don't have a residential building height restriction
oh,
for
we
single
don't.
family.
Okay. So
Yeah, the max that we would have would be on the medical office building. And that would potentially be a 2-story building. So you're looking at a max height probably around 34. The golf courses that I've played at that've had similar netting, those nets are 50 feet tall or so. So, to get a golf ball from there up and over a fence within a few yards of the tee box is pretty difficult to do. So we don't see that there would be any height problems. If we even went 3 stories, to get a ball up and over and to the building is going to be a pretty tall task.
thank you. Hopefully they're not using the pitching wedge on the box.
Hopefully not.
The apex of my driver is about 150 yards. 150 feet, I'm sorry.
And again, this is just a recommendation to the city council. City council is going to need to work with the developer and site plan and everything on this.
Yeah, and the last thing that we want to do, we don't want to cause problems for anyone. Golf course, tenants at the buildings, patrons at those businesses, restaurants. That's the last thing we want, is just to cause a bunch of problems. So it would be in our best interest as well to make sure that everything's mitigated to the best of our ability, just to make sure that we don't have daily problems. The last thing people want to deal with on a daily basis is problems. So that would not be our intent to try to skimp on anything, especially in this manner.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Just make one comment.
It's already closed.
Public hearing has been closed for this particular.
Costco's $120 to $150 million. That's your sales tax base.
Additional comments from the commission, or we'll take a motion.
Is there any
Is there any plans to widen Antelope up through that strip as they develop it?
Yeah, that's UDOT, so we'll have to,
Okay,
really doesn't have anything to do with us as a city, but there could be future plans to widen it.
okay.
I know that there's been discussions. It would be really nice if we can get it widened out, but you can see they've worked with the golf course to widen it up to that point right there. And then there is a precedent. These are things that we can work on through site plan if the zoning is granted. But you can see the what we made the storage unit do. And we just kind of deferred to UDOT and said, hey, why don't we get the sidewalk set in the right place? Don't do a curb and gutter or sidewalk or curb and gutter shoulder yet. So you can see that the shoulder is still just a gravel shoulder, but they put the sidewalk in the right place, and hopefully they put the property line in the right place. But we just will require them to work with UDOT to make sure that they get those road frontage improvements in the right place for the long-term vision of what UDOT. But I think as the city grows, that road is going to need to be widened at some point, and especially if there's more commercial on there, it'll warrant more traffic. And like we said, Costco's coming in and they're going to generate a lot of traffic, and they're proposing a new road that comes in right here. UDOT has rules as far as intersection spacing for signalized intersections, but they'll have to evaluate as it comes.
Noah, I can add some additional context there from our conversations with UDOT if you'd like.
Please.
So, I mean, that was one of the reasons that we had to go to the golf course to try to get some additional footage on that back side of the development, is because UDOT does plan to widen that eventually all the way down to 4,000 West. And so in order to do that, they didn't want us to build close to Antelope. And so that's why there's the setback of I mean, you haven't seen our site plan yet, but there's a setback of 18 feet from where the current property line is back to where it will be, which UDOT plans to take, which is why we needed the 15 feet on the back end to make the development work again. So I know that's their plan. They haven't given us an exact time frame of when that plan is, but that's definitely coming down the road as the city continues to grow.
Okay, thank you. Additional comments? All right, I'll take a motion.
I will make a motion, and this is a recommendation to the city council for a general plan map zoning amendment request by Fort Street Partners for a general plan map amendment and rezone at approximately 3,400 west, 1,700 south. The proposed general commercial zoning will be applied to the approximately 1.5 acres only, currently designated medium density residential on the general plan map and zoned residential R1. So it's just those two small pieces, and I make that recommendation to the city council.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Commissioner Anderson listed as opposed. Motion passes. All right, our next item is to adjourn to work session. I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
All right, we are adjourned and we will move on to work session. Start with department business, our city council liaison report. Appreciate it, thank you. And I don't see our city attorney today, so I'm guessing.
City attorney's on vacation.
Well deserved.
Very well deserved. All right. Upcoming agenda items.
Okay, so our next meeting is July 15th. It's looking like we will have Sadie's Glen Phase 3 final plat. That is kind of down off of about 2,400 west and 2,700 south. And then we have Heritage Lane Commercial Plaza plat amendment. So that is the last building of the Arlo project, and that'll be a vertical mixed use building. So you have commercial on the first floor and residential on on the second and third floors. We've already approved the site plan, approved everything, but then they decided that they would want to sell each unit individually. So each commercial spot will be able to be sold, and then each residential unit will be able to be sold, which is allowable in our ordinance. It's just a matter of getting the plat done. So it's administrative deal that we need to go through to make sure that they get it right. But condos, we haven't seen a lot of condos recently, so it'll be a little bit of a change. A lot of times these projects are a rental type situation. So somebody will buy those and live there, or buy it as an investment and rent it out that way. Or there could be businesses that want to control their own destiny, and they'll buy their spot and locate there as well.
Cool.
So those are the two items. We do have some other things in the pipeline. We have a second multi-tenant building in the Antelope Station that was that discussion we just had on the corner. There's the site plan application for that. And then we also have a preliminary plat for a new commercial development on 2700 South and 2000 West near the roundabout, the southwest corner of the roundabout. So they're proposing some commercial lots and want to get going on there. And then again, in the same location that we've been talking about tonight with the Glen Eagle Golf Course, they've applied for a revised site plan. They want to expand their parking lot to the west so that when the event center opens, it'll have ample parking. So I think that covers the next few meetings of kind of some of the upcoming projects.
Cool. All right. Commissioner reports. I want to thank everyone's patience, and as we move forward through this for my learning curve, take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Very much.